stop caring about what isn't yours, the life-changing habit that Epictetus swears by the world is full of distractions. Every day, we are pulled in 1,000 different directions, worrying about what others think of us, stressing over things we can't control, obsessing over outcomes that were never in our hands to begin with. It's exhausting. But what if I told you that there was a single mindset shift, a life-changing habit that could free you from all of this? A habit that could eliminate unnecessary stress, help you focus on what truly matters, and give you the kind of inner peace that most people spend their entire lives chasing. This is not some new self-help trick. It's not a modern productivity hack. It's an idea that comes straight from one of the greatest philosophers of all time, Epictetus, a man who was born into slavery, who had everything taken from him, and yet, through the power of his mind, became one of the most influential thinkers in history. His secret? He understood one fundamental truth: most of what we care about isn't even ours to control. And if we could just stop caring about what isn't ours, we would finally be free. Let's break this down. Look at your life right now. How much energy do you spend worrying about things that are completely outside of your control? The opinions of others, the actions of people you will never meet, the state of the economy, the outcome of events that have already happened. We treat these things as if they are our personal responsibilities, as if by worrying hard enough, we can somehow change them. But here's the truth: you can't. And Epictetus would argue that the moment you accept this, your life will change forever. He divided life into two categories: things that are within our control and things that are not. The mistake we make, the mistake that leads to nearly all of our suffering, is that we spend most of our time focusing on the second category. Imagine a person standing in the middle of a storm, screaming at the wind, demanding that it stop blowing. That's what we do every time we stress over things that we have no power to change. It is a complete waste of energy, and yet we do it every single day.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more topics you love.
Think about the last time you were angry about something. Maybe someone said something about you that wasn't true. Maybe someone cut you off in traffic. Maybe an opportunity you wanted slipped through your fingers. Were these things yours to control? Or were they external forces, completely independent of your will? And if they weren't yours to control, why did you let them control you? Epictetus teaches us that the key to inner peace is to let go of everything that isn't truly ours, to stop trying to control the uncontrollable, to stop tying our happiness to things that were never in our hands to begin with. But here's where it gets interesting. If we stop caring about what isn't ours, what is left? What actually is in our control? The answer is simple: our own thoughts, our own actions, our own choices. That's it. Nothing else. You don't control the world, but you control how you respond to it. You don't control other people, but you control your own character. You don't control fate, but you control whether you meet it with courage or fear. That is your domain. That is where your power lies. And yet, so many of us ignore this. We chase after things that will never be within our control, while neglecting the only thing that actually belongs to us ourselves. We care more about how others perceive us than about the kind of person we actually are. We care more about achieving recognition than about doing work that we truly believe in. We care more about external success than about internal mastery. This is why so many people feel lost, anxious, powerless, because they have placed their happiness in the hands of the world instead of in their own. But what happens when we flip this mindset? What happens when we stop caring about what isn't ours and start focusing only on what we can control? That is when we become unstoppable. Because now, instead of wasting energy on things we can't change, we invest it into things we can. Instead of stressing over the opinions of others, we focus on becoming the best version of ourselves. Instead of complaining about circumstances, we take action. Instead of feeling helpless, we realize that we have always had power, real power, the kind that no one can take away. This is what Epictetus understood. This is why, despite being born a slave, despite having no control over his external circumstances, he was still free. Because he knew that true freedom is not about what happens to you, it's about how you respond. And that is the habit that can change your life. The ability to let go of what isn't yours and focus entirely on what is. But here's the real question: how do we actually do this? How do we train ourselves to let go of what we can't control, when everything in our society teaches us to obsess over it? How do we shift our focus inward when we have spent our entire lives looking outward? And most importantly, what happens to our lives when we truly master this mindset? The art of letting go, how to free yourself from the chains of control. Letting go sounds simple. If something isn't yours to control, why waste time worrying about it? And yet, in practice, this is one of the hardest things a person can do. We are wired to care. We are wired to seek control, to believe that if we just try hard enough, if we just stress a little more, if we just fight a little longer, we can bend reality to our will. But this is an illusion. No matter how much we want to, we cannot control the minds of others. We cannot force the world to be fair. We cannot dictate outcomes that depend on forces beyond ourselves. And the harder we try, the more we suffer. Think about how much of your life has been shaped by things outside of your control. The family you were born into, the country you live in, the way people see you before you even open your mouth, the opportunities you never had, the moments of luck or misfortune that changed your path forever. These things were never yours to decide, and yet they have shaped you. But here's the question: do you let them define you? Do you allow yourself to be a prisoner of circumstances, forever blaming the external world for your internal state? Or do you take control of the only thing that has ever truly belonged to you, yourself? This is where the real power lies, not in controlling the world, but in controlling how you respond to it, not in forcing people to like you, but in being the kind of person who doesn't need their approval, not in demanding fairness from life, but in playing the hand you were dealt with such skill that fairness becomes irrelevant. This is what Epictetus meant when he said that freedom is not about external conditions, it's about mastering the one thing that no one, no force, no event can ever take away from you, your own mind. But how do we actually do this? How do we train ourselves to stop caring about what isn't ours when our entire lives have conditioned us to do the opposite? The first step is radical self-awareness. You must begin to notice, in real time, when you are giving your energy to things outside of your control. Catch yourself in the act. When you find yourself angry at someone's opinion of you, stop and ask, is this mine to control? When you find yourself stressing over an outcome, stop and ask, did I do everything I could? If the answer is yes, then let it go. If the answer is no, then take action, but only within the realm of what is yours to control. Anything beyond that is wasted energy. The second step is detachment. This doesn't mean becoming indifferent or emotionless. It means training yourself to care differently, to invest your emotions only where they can make a difference. It means understanding that your worth is not tied to external validation, that your happiness is not dependent on circumstances, that your peace does not come from the world but from within. Imagine how different your life would be if you could walk through chaos without being shaken, if you could face criticism without feeling the need to defend yourself, if you could lose something and still remain whole. This is what detachment offers, not numbness, but unshakable strength. The third step is shifting your focus inward. Most people live their lives in a state of reaction, reacting to events, reacting to people, reacting to the shifting tides of fortune. But the wisest individuals do the opposite. They live from the inside out, not the outside in. They do not ask what is happening to me, but instead, who do I choose to be? Regardless of what happens, they do not base their confidence on external success, but on the mastery of their own character. They do not seek control over the world, they seek control over themselves. And in doing so, they achieve the greatest power of all. But here's where it gets even deeper. When you stop caring about what isn't yours, when you fully embrace this mindset, something incredible happens. You become fearless. Think about it. What is fear if not worrying about an outcome you cannot control? What is anxiety if not an obsession with the unknown? What is insecurity if not the fear of how others perceive you? All of these things lose their power the moment you realize that they were never yours to control in the first place. And once you are no longer controlled by fear, you become unstoppable. You move through life with a quiet confidence, a calm certainty that no matter what happens, you will be okay. Because the only thing that ever truly mattered, the only thing that was ever yours, remains untouched. But let's take this even further. What happens when an entire life is built upon this principle? What does it look like to fully embody this philosophy? To live every single day with the clarity and discipline of someone who has mastered the art of letting go? What kind of success, what kind of peace, what kind of power does such a life create? The unshakable mind, how letting go leads to ultimate power. Imagine a life where nothing external could disturb your inner peace, where no insult could shake your confidence, no failure could break your spirit, no unexpected event could leave you feeling lost. This isn't fantasy. This is the natural result of mastering the art of letting go, of refusing to waste energy on things that do not belong to you. The person who lives by this philosophy becomes untouchable, not because they control everything, but because they have stopped trying to. They have accepted the unpredictable, chaotic nature of the world, and instead of resisting it, they flow with it. This is where true power lies. Most people believe that power comes from control over people, control over circumstances, control over outcomes. But this is an illusion. No one truly controls the external world, and those who try often find themselves exhausted, anxious, and frustrated. Real power comes not from controlling everything, but from needing to control nothing. The person who has mastered this does not fear loss, because they do not cling to what isn't theirs. They do not fear failure, because they know that their worth is not tied to external success. They do not fear judgment, because they have stopped seeking validation from others. They are free in a way that most people will never experience, because they have placed their sense of peace, their sense of purpose, entirely within themselves. But how does this translate to real life? What does it actually look like to live this way? It means waking up each morning with a clear mind, unburdened by the worries that plague so many others. It means moving through the day with purpose, focusing only on what you can control and letting go of everything else. It means facing challenges not with stress, but with calm determination, because you understand that your only responsibility is to do your best, nothing more, nothing less. It means being surrounded by chaos and yet remaining centered, because your peace does not come from the world, but from within you. Think about the most successful, most respected, most admired individuals throughout history. Were they the ones who panicked in the face of uncertainty? Were they the ones who obsessed over the opinions of others? Or were they the ones who remained steady, who refused to be shaken, who understood that their power did not come from external circumstances, but from their own ability to respond to them? The greatest leaders, the greatest thinkers, the greatest warriors all shared this mindset. They knew that control was an illusion, and instead of chasing it, they mastered themselves. And this is the secret. The moment you stop trying to control what isn't yours, the moment you shift all of your energy inward, you unlock a level of personal power that few people ever experience. You become the kind of person who moves through life with quiet confidence, who does not waste time on meaningless battles, who does not allow the chaos of the world to disturb the stillness within. You become someone that others look to for strength, not because you dominate, but because you are unshakable. But here's the final question, the one that separates those who understand this philosophy from those who actually live it. Once you have let go of everything that isn't yours, once you have freed yourself from the need for control, what do you do with this newfound power? How do you use it to create a life that is not just free from suffering, but rich with meaning, purpose, and fulfillment? The mastery of life, transforming freedom into purpose. Once you have let go of what isn't yours, once you have freed yourself from the weight of unnecessary burdens, you stand at the threshold of something even greater. Freedom from suffering is only the beginning. The real question is, what will you do with this freedom? Because a life without unnecessary worry, without fear of the uncontrollable, without attachment to things that were never yours, is not just a peaceful life, it is a powerful one. And power, when wielded with wisdom, leads to purpose. Most people spend their entire lives reacting to circumstances, reacting to opinions, reacting to the endless stream of events outside their control. But the person who has mastered this philosophy does not react. They act. They move through life with intention, choosing their direction not based on fear, not based on external validation, but based on what truly matters to them. They do not waste time complaining about what they cannot change. They dedicate themselves fully to what they can, and in doing so, they achieve more in a few focused years than most people do in an entire lifetime of distracted effort. This is the next level of mastery. It is not just about inner peace, it is about creating something meaningful with the time and energy you have reclaimed. It is about taking full ownership of your mind, your actions, your choices, and using them to build something that outlasts you. Whether that means pursuing a craft with relentless dedication, leading others with wisdom and strength, or simply living each day with deep presence and purpose, the philosophy of Epictetus is not just about surviving life, it is about mastering it. But here's where it gets even deeper. When you stop caring about what isn't yours, when you stop chasing control over the external world, something remarkable happens. You start experiencing life fully. You are no longer distracted by imaginary fears. You are no longer weighed down by the opinions of others. You are no longer lost in the endless pursuit of things that will never bring lasting fulfillment. Instead, you are present, you are engaged, you are alive in a way that few people ever are. And this, more than anything, is what makes life truly meaningful. So the final question is this: what will you do with this freedom? Now that you know the truth, now that you understand that the only thing you ever truly own is yourself, how will you use it? Will you waste it, like so many others, chasing things that were never yours to begin with? Or will you take full responsibility for your own mind, your own actions, your own choices, and create something extraordinary? Because in the end, that is the only thing that matters. Not what happens to you, not what others think, not the circumstances of the world, just you, your choices, your actions, your mastery. That is what defines a life. That is what determines whether you simply exist or whether you truly live.